Okay, next up is continuous monitoring, and continuous monitoring of user access should be done via auditing. Now, I'm not saying audit absolutely everything, all right, but we want to make sure that like logins or at least unsuccessful logins are monitored and audited so that we're aware of what's happening. We also need to identify what are our most critical repositories of information, all right? Is it PCI compliance type stuff? Is it HR information? We need to make sure that those things at a minimum are monitored so that we are aware when people are accessing, okay, whether it be a success or a failure event. And then also time of day and length of connection. We should monitor those things as well to make sure that they are in line with what's necessary. All right. Do we want to give 24-hour access to our network? If all of our users only work from 9 to 5, maybe we give them an hour or two before, an hour or two after, and then set up special policies for individual groups that might need access after hours, but take it away from everyone else. Again, reducing that risk. It's all a matter of what's appropriate and what's applicable to your environment. So it's something that you need to develop within your own company, but just keep that in mind. The smaller the attack surface, the less the risk, the more you mitigate, damage to the company. And then also, as I mentioned, what types of resources are being accessed? We should monitor this. For instance, you might see that user A, who is in the copy room or the mail room, or maybe a data entry clerk, is trying to access executive files and folders, or trying to access something that's completely outside of their scope of responsibility. Well, that should obviously raise a red flag. Now, it's hard to monitor everything across the board, but if we spot monitor, we're going to potentially catch some of these things. And then if people understand that they have the possibility of being monitored, right, there's the possibility that they can be watched, that in of itself is a deterrent as well. All right, so we're talking about putting some controls in place so that people are aware that, hey, if I do this, there's a good possibility I might get monitored, or I might get looked at. Well, that should mitigate some of that risk. And then lastly, we can automate some of this via alerts and triggers, right? Remember, we talked about a number of different systems, IDS, IPS systems, and a number of different ways to monitor our environments. But by setting up automated alerts and triggers, that saves someone having to sit there and constantly just stare at the screen and watch the events go by, which is not necessarily that much fun. By automating this process, we ensure that we're being consistent across the board, and it also increases our chance that we're going to catch things, such as things like suspicious activity or group memberships. As I mentioned, if they change, someone goes in to a special or a privileged account that shouldn't be there. Well, not only should it be automatically pulled back out, but we should be alerted or triggered on that as well, so we can start monitoring or understanding why that happened in the first place.